especially with the Terra Ghost available on the Charizard. That is a nice adaptation, shifting away from the massive damage from Terra Fire. Instead, we're going to be seeing the Incineroar and the Porygon 2. That's quite a classic lead here, and a lead we haven't seen for quite a while. This goes back to like Regulation, maybe even A as well, with Maushold and Golden Go.
Yeah, certainly does. Maushold there providing its friend guard on the field. Rocky Helmet, that will be dealing a little bit of chip damage to any Pokemon that makes contact with it. Porygon 2 and Incineroar here, a classic lead if you want to set up Trick Room, going for a fake out and a flinch, leaving Porygon 2 very bulky, especially with the EVLI item to set that up.
Yeah, and now you have to contend with the taunt coming out from the Maushold into the Porygon 2. That would stop any of the Trick Rooms. But then if you go for the taunt, then you're not going for Follow Me, and that allows the Incineroar to potentially get an attack into this Golden Go. Golden Go definitely wants to be setting up here. It's not going to be able to do the damage against this incredibly bulky Porygon 2 and this Incineroar that will resist both of its attacks. Of course, you can just go for your immediate Terastallization to get rid of your Ghost Steel typing into that Water typing. That's going to be able to take on the Incineroar a lot better.
Terastallizing into the Water type. Golden Go embracing our maritime theme here in Gdańsk, keeping itself safer from the Fire type moves Incineroar can fire off. Taunt now into the Porygon 2, exactly as you said, Jamie. So no Trick Room cannot be coming. No Trick Room can be coming out from that Pokemon here. Nasty block. Golden Go nice and safe to be able to get set up here, but knocked off. Nice play from the Incineroar here. That means that Golden Go won't be able to heal up with its Citrus Berry on a future turn. Yeah,
and there's a Terra Blast coming out from Porygon 2. That's a lot of damage into that Pokemon. If that had been a Trick Room, that would have been a lot of lost damage from Marco on Hsuan's Chi's side of the field. But yeah, Maushold didn't take that comfortably at all. Yes, the Friend Guard was active, and the Golden Go was able to throw off that knockoff quite comfortably. And now you do have a +2 Golden Go available to you. But you're still not going to be able to do enough damage in the face of the Incineroar. You might need to consider going for a second Nasty Plot, or maybe if the Maushold, assumedly is faster than the Golden Go, maybe a Super Fang to half the HP of either Pokemon, but definitely the Porygon 2. If you Super Fang the Porygon 2 and make it rain, that's definitely a KO. It's going to be pretty close if it goes into that Incineroar, though.
Will it be targeting the Incineroar or indeed the Porygon 2? Either way, trainers, we are in a Masters top 4 here at the Gdańsk Regional Championships. Maushold able to halve Incineroar's HP now. Incineroar having to snack on its Citrus Berry to get a little bit of recovery going here. A Nasty Plot once more coming out from Golden Go is now at +4 in its special attack.
Yeah, and that's going to be a knockoff. There's not as much damage.
No.
And yeah, that's always the Terra Blast from the Golden Go. No, Follow Me. Is the Friend Guard going to save it? No, it's not.
That Terra Blast is enough to secure the knockout of the Golden Go there. Had it been able to hang on, would have been so threatening on the field. And that, of course, is Hsuan Chi's Terra option spent as well.
Yeah, it could have been a +2 Nasty Plot boost to make it rain into both of these Pokemon. There was the Citrus Berry available on the Incineroar, so it was never going to be KO'd to that +2 make it rain, but it would have been some damage, and it was no damage. You've gone for 2 Nasty Plots. That Golden Go could have done so much damage, but now it cannot, as it has just been taken care of. Very, very nicely done from Marco's side of the field. At least the Porygon 2 is still taunted for one more turn, so it can't go for the Trick Room, but it doesn't seem like Marco is prioritizing that in the slightest. Went for Terra Blast on turn 1 in the face of the taunt, and it did loads of damage to the Maushold, was strong enough to KO the Golden Go, even through its Friend Guard as well.
Calling the taunt coming out from the Maushold, and Porygon 2 just going on the offensive. Now it's Maushold going on the offensive into the Porygon 2 with that dodge there. Parting Shot connecting into the Dragonite, which did go for the Protect, so Incineroar is locked on the field.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate dodge there for Super Fang. That could have been half of Porygon 2's HP gone, but no, it's a full elf and able to take care of this Maushold with another Terra Blast. So Hsuan Chi already down to the last 2 Pokemon. It looks like it's the Rillaboom there, so that's not really what you want to see in the face of the Incineroar. Incineroar is almost certainly going to be parting shotting out here to get an Intimidate again in the future, because Hsuan Chi's down to their final Pokemon. Then you'd just be intimidated and stuck at that matched attack.
Yeah, you'd have to switch out and back in to reset that, but of course Hsuan Chi doesn't have the luxury of switching out anymore, being down to the final 2 Pokemon. Got an active fake out as well for Rillaboom just joining the fray right now. Porygon 2 and 2 unrevealed Pokemon for Marco in the back. Could well be that Ursaluna if that angling for the Trick Room mode is looking like there might not be enough gas in the tank for Hsuan Chi right now.
Yeah, potentially not. Going on the offense here with the Scale Shot. Scale Shot and a Woods Hammer probably still isn't enough to be able to KO the Porygon Porygon 2, as it is so bulky, especially because it was only 4 hits rather than 5 there. And of course, you're going to be dropping your defenses on the Dragonite, so the Incineroar, if it goes to the knockoff, will do a lot more damage. But Wood Hammer, is it enough in Porygon 2? Oh, it was!
It is the Wood Hammer, boosted by the grassy terrain, does pick up the knockout onto the Porygon 2 there. I'm sure it's fine margins. So no Trick Room can go up for Marco here. At least they have the speed advantage. Dragonite with a non-resettable attack drop now.
Yeah, and it's going to be intimidated as soon as Incineroar joins the field again. There's not much reason for it not to in the face of these 2 physical attackers. You get to Parting Shot out into whatever you want this turn, and because the Porygon 2 is KO'd, in comes the Incineroar almost certainly once again. Do you have that Sun Mode waiting in the back? Do you have the Jumpluff and Charizard to go fast? Or did you have the Ursaluna and the Torkoal potentially because of the Porygon 2 being led? Ursaluna and Torkoal is surely what you want to be having in the Trick Room, so I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one of Torkoal or Ursaluna in the back, so that Trick Room could have been benefited from. Of course, that wasn't the strategy that Marco went for. It just went on the offensive instead.
Dragonite here, even though it's a Dragon Flying type, it doesn't have access to any Flying type moves. Its Scale Shot and Extreme Speed are the damaging moves of choice. It's going to be the Charizard actually coming out here, so Marco with a Pokemon that can take advantage of the non-reverse speed order as well. Orange Dragon, staring down Orange Dragon. Here comes that Incineroar once more. Rillaboom and Dragonite quaking in their scales.
Yeah, and there's just no real damage going to come out from Hsuan Chi's side of the field anymore, because the Rillaboom's at -1 and the Dragonite's at -2, so even though Charizard's not the bulkiest of Pokemon, it just likes to go on the offense, really. That won't really matter because of the amount of damage reduction that the Incineroar will be able to do with the Parting Shot and the Intimidate, and there's Fake Out active, so you're going to be able to stop one of the Pokemon moving on this turn and just launch off a powerful attack from the Charizard. Whether you lock into Dragon Pulse to try and deal with the Dragonite quicker, or you go for Heat Wave or Overheat to try and clear the Rillaboom quicker, I don't think it really matters which one Marco chooses here.
Yeah, Rillaboom isn't really dealing any damage at all into the Charizard here, flapping away in the face of Dragonite as well. You'll be locked into the Overheat now on this Charizard. Massive damage into the Rillaboom. Has gotten a Assault Vest, but of course, that's going to be easily enough to secure the knockout here.
Yeah, for sure. And now you can just switch the Charizard back out once again and lock into Dragon Pulse if you want to. Or you can just go on the offensive here, really. The Dragonite, it's at -2. You don't really need too much more damage reduction. And especially because the Scale Shot is reducing the defenses of the Dragonite, you can break the multi-scale with the Overheat. It won't do too much damage. It's weird to say with the Charizard when we've been hyping up its damage, but it's not in the sun, so it won't do much damage. But then Knockoff would do actually pretty significant damage with all of those defense drops.
Scale Shot once more going to be lowering the defenses of this Dragonite, boosting up the speed as we've seen many times over the course of the tournament. Really, this is time for Hsuan Chi to go back to the drawing board and reflect heading into Game 2 what to do differently. The Golden Go going down so early in the game was absolutely crucial. Had been able to hang on with all of those boosts to its special attack, would have been able to achieve far more for Hsuan Chi in this game.
Yeah, that was actual damage because of that critical hit. It wouldn't have been much damage, but it still was. And the Knockoff, -2 defense. That's easily enough to KO the Dragonite, and Marco's going to take this first game.
Down but not out for Hsuan Chi. Plenty more options in the back for Hsuan Chi that can come out. And approaching the second game, yes, we can say all we like, well, just don't let your Golden Go be knocked out, but it's hardly the most useful thing to hear. Plenty more game plans that Hsuan Chi is able to go for here as well.
Yeah, that Golden Go would have been pretty close if it would have been KO'd to that knockoff into Terra Blast, because you've got the Friend Guard active. But we saw how much damage that Terra Blast did to Maushold. It did like 70% to Maushold. So Maushold, like, it's going to be run reasonably bulky because it is the supportive one. But even still, that was huge damage coming out from the Porygon.
Yeah, it certainly was, and it's a Pokemon that really benefits from that Terra Blast move. It deals special damage or physical damage based on whichever stat of the Pokemon is higher at the time that it uses it. Would have been interesting to see what the final Pokemon was in the back for Marco, and if it's Ursaluna, how Hsuan Chi deals with that. And Friend Guard, as useful as that ability is, yes, not quite enough to support the Golden Go in the way Hsuan Chi would have liked.
It doesn't seem so. Like, the Terra Water would be nice in the face of the Sun mode, but it wasn't really the Sun mode. It was just Incineroar, and we know that Golden Go usually loses to Incineroar because of the type matchup. You can just turn on the offense immediately if you go with the Charizard, but that was just left in the back, and you didn't even need the Sun. Overheat was enough, even without the Sun, into the Assault Vest Rillaboom, and then it was just there to break the multi-scale. It critical hit and really broke the multi-scale, but it was just there to break that, and then the knockoff could have sealed the deal, as it ended up doing.
Yeah, and looking at Marco's team and how Hsuan Chi might be able to adapt here, I mean, Trick Room was denied, but Marco's shown that he's more than happy to go on the offense with the Porygon 2, not set up that Trick Room. You could taunt it to make it extra sure, but really, you just need to get more more mileage out of whichever Pokemon you're putting your eggs into the basket of, and especially your terrestrialization option as well, something that was immediately down and out for Hsuan on that early turn.
Yeah, you could consider going with the Dragonite as a lead, because that would actually be pretty reasonable in the face of the Incineroar. It's not going to be caring too much about it if you just go for the redirection. But at the same time, I guess you're going to be intimidated, so then you won't do as much damage. You could haze away your Intimidate boost if you'd like. Yeah, so it does seem a little bit awkward for Hsuan because you do need to cover for the immediate, here it is. Here is the immediate Sun offense with the Torkoal and the Charizard, but it's still the Maushold and the Golden Go here.
Switching up the game plan here for Marco. Let's go, trainers. It's game 2 in our Masters Top 4 of the Gdańsk Regional Championships. Golden Go does have the Terra Water available to it to mitigate the fire output from these two Pokemon, but as we saw yesterday, even resisted damage is massive in the face of any Pokemon like this Golden Go.
It absolutely is, but at least there will be Frengard helping out the, assumedly going to be Terra Water Golden Go. If it's not, it's blown back by a Heat Wave, so it's almost forced into that. But then at the same time, you need the Nasty Plot to be able to start doing the damage, and the damage here is going to come from Shadow Ball because both the Pokemon are resisting the Make It Rain, and then that means you're just attacking one Pokemon at a time, freeing up the other to be able to just go on the offense. Charizard, we know, it does so much damage now that it's in the sun as well. Torkoal can still turn on the offense as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the offense cannot be ignored from the Torkoal. It is slow, but it's mighty. Of course, it's going to be the Terra Water on the Golden Go here. It's going to be making itself so much more resistant to that firepower coming out from Marco's side of the field. Heat Wave now connected down into both of Hsuan's Pokemon, enough for the one-hit knockout onto those 4 little mice.
Yeah, and so if the Golden Go goes for a Nasty Plot here, it could have freed up Torkoal go for an Eruption, but no, it's just Shadow Ball, but it is the Charizard. So if this Torkoal went for an Eruption like it is doing, that single target, and that's still going to do loads of damage. It's enough for a KO into the Terra Water Golden Go. What is resistance?
That turn 1 could not have gone any better for Marco here. What is resistance indeed? We've seen it with King Gambit after King Gambit as well, boosting up his offensive prowess, and those Dark-type moves still hit so many resisted Pokemon so very well. It's just going to be Rillaboom and Sneasler in the back here for Hsuan. Marco showing how expertly he can pilot 2 different game modes with this team.
Yeah, for sure. And you even got Terra available still on Marco's side of the field. You could go for a Terra Ghost here to be able to avoid any fake outs that could come out into the Charizard, to be able to resist the Diaclaw that would be attacking the Charizard. It'd be close if it's able to KO, because Charizard, like we said, is not the bulkiest. It's designed for offense with this choice specs. So with a Terra Ghost, it's going to be really close if it survives. And if it does, Heat Wave just wins immediately if a double connects. And there's no Terra available on Hsuan side of the field anymore. That was supposed to be a resistance with the Water type, but as we've seen, resistance does not exist in the face of Charizard.
Yeah, apparently not. And, you know, the Grassy Seed on the Sneasler is boosting up the physical defense, and you've got 2 special attackers over on Marco's side of the field. So Marco looking pretty convincing here heading into the grand finals. But Hsuan, you know, down, not necessarily out. You do have some good damage already down onto that Charizard. Torkoal, as long as it remains at full HP, those eruptions going to be hurting hugely. Close combat just into Charizard trying to call the switch.
Yeah, and if that would have been a Terra Ghost, that would have been Charizard winning immediately. But yeah, nicely done there, going for the slightly extra damage from the close combat. Still going to be able to pick up the knockout on that Charizard. Here, his high horsepower into the opposing Torkoal that does end up connecting. That weakens the Eruption, but this could be an Overheat. Overheat would be enough to knock out, but no, just the regular old Eruption. Still a half HP, still so much damage.
Yeah, Rillaboom and Sneasler not very long for this match, unfortunately for Hsuan. Now we are going to see what Marco has been bringing in the back to this game. Something that we might be seeing again in the grand finals should they reach that position. And it's going to be Incineroar coming in. Makes a lot of sense in the face of these physical attackers.
Yeah, and the Terra was not used up on the Charizard, so that means the Incineroar, if it does want to, it can go for its Terra Ghost instead, and it probably does want to in the face of the Sneasler that can just go for that close combat. Yes, it is at -1 now, but it's not going to do really much damage at all to a Terra Ghost Incineroar. We've seen the Torkoal, even at half HP, was able to do half damage to both of the Pokemon on the Hsuan side of the field. Incineroar would just be able to finish the job itself if it does want to. Both Pokemon are in range of Flare Blitz here, so I'm really not seeing many ways that Hsuan can come back into this game. Yes, there is Diaclaw, and theoretically when there's Diaclaw, there's always a way, but there's just too much offense coming from Marco's side of the field in the form of this Incineroar and Torkoal.
And we don't even know what the final Pokemon is in the back for Marco. Marco here. So Hsuan Chi running it down to the wire, of course knowing that if they go out in this stage, that's it for their tournament run. The Masters top 4 is an absolutely phenomenal achievement. There it is, Terra Ghost onto the Incineroar, getting into the Halloween mood a little bit late with that Terra Ghost crown atop its head, letting out its victory roar, and hopefully ready to claim the victory for Marco here. It was the close combat heading into the now Ghost Incineroar.
Yeah, and follow up the high horsepower as well. You can see that's not much damage at all. This is much damage. Yeah. This is a Flare Blitz in the sun. Even if that Rillaboom was at full HP, that would have been a KO. Critical hit on top. Why not? Torkoal, it's going to be able to finish the job here. It can click Eruption even at not as much HP as it would like. Doesn't matter. Single target Eruption. Easily enough to KO the Sneasler.
Congratulations to Hsuan Chi, but congratulations too to Marco Silva, heading through to our grand finals at the Gdańsk Regional Championships.
And just before we're about to get into the Latin American International